Aikatsu is a musical anime that has defined my taste for the past few years. The music introduced me to idol culture, and that's something I still partake in now. The unique thing about Aikatsu is that all the girl singers and voice actresses are different people. This allows each person to focus on their specialty, creating a pretty holistic anime. Let's take a look at Aikatsu's music in this episode of Vocal Diary. Due to the music, this video might not be monetized, so be sure to check out the Patreon if you'd like to support me directly. Starness was a Japanese idol group who provided the vocals for Aikatsu the series. They primarily worked during the Ichigo generation, or the first 2 years of Aikatsu. Starness began with Waka as Ichigo, Furi as Aoi, Sunao as Ran, Remi as Otome, Moe as Yurika, Yuna as Kaede, and finally Risuko as Mizuki. Within about a year, Sunao and Moe graduated, leaving their characters to Yuna and Remi respectively. There's a great compilation of all the singing voices that I'll be sure to link down below. There's also a few unofficial members like Yuniko, Risa, Amy, and Nemu, but finally one last official member, Ruka, who is the voice of Akari. For this video, we're going to start with the main vocal trio, that being Ichigo, Aoi, and Ran, or basically Soleil. We'll cover each of their vocals throughout the show before moving on to the live singing and my overall thoughts. They sing a lot as a unit, so that's a huge factor to why they're covered together. That said, let's get right into it. Right away, it's immediately obvious why Waka was chosen. She has a bright, solid voice that really suits pop. Her version of Idol Activity is really cheerful with some pretty nice range. I think that Waka manages to sound cute with her flat, elongated syllables and that slight nasal quality. You can really hear her open delivery during the chorus, and the sway between words is beautiful. It gives this whole song a very playful rhythm as we swing from note to note. Waka's main struggles as Ichigo seem to be belting the high notes and running out of breath during the longer ones. Additionally, Waka struggles when singing fast. You can hear her get audibly nasal in songs like Growing for a Dream. To understand what that means, cover your nose and you should be able to figure it out. Even later in songs like Sweet Spice, the problem persists. Given her vocal color, I think it makes sense that her Season 2 solo was a playful and jazzy song. Now, once again, you can hear Waka's nose in the shorter lines, but the chorus really hones in on her strength, sweeping lengthy melodies where she's able to let that melodic tone ring out. It's a song that contains some of her best and worst qualities. Despite this, she's able to capture the playful swing sound accompanied by the deep bass vocals. With all the lessons learned, it's very fitting that her final big song was Friend. Waka does amazing with a cheerful delivery, and the first thing I noticed was how much better she was at doing the voice. The faster lines don't trouble her and she gets through them with ease. This is a lot more solid than her past delivery. I especially love the ad-libs near the end where she gets to show off. During Season 3, we don't hear Ichigo much, but we do have a few songs to go off of. The first one we'll look at is Good Morning My Dream. Now as an experienced Ichigo, Waka hits the lower notes pretty well, and has perfected the playful tone of her voice. Now that she's mastered her role, there's one final song we have to cover. Honing in on all her strengths, this slow ballad allows Waka to show how much control she has. It starts with lower, slow notes before building into Waka's gorgeous new sound. Ichigo sounds warm and rich with a really consistent tone. Before, her nasal quality was like an accent she couldn't get rid of, but now it's part and parcel of the delivery. It sounds really beautiful, especially in the chorus and bridge. Waka developed a lot of skill for this character, and I can't say that enough. What's your favorite song of hers from this era? Because for me, nothing gets better than this. Right now we're really close to 1,300 subscribers, and I found out that only a few of you are subscribed to these videos. It's clear that you enjoy them enough to stick around, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and let YouTube know that you're enjoying this channel. With that said, let's get right back to Vocal Diary. Luckily for us, this is far from the end of Aikatsu. Aikatsu Photo on Stage was a mobile game that lasted 2 years with lots of songs and new outfits. This gives us a new era of Waka singing, and well, it's far from the best. This musical era was a lot more diverse and pushed Waka into new and uncomfortable areas. I don't blame her at all, but this is far from Ichigo's best singing. Waka's voice in this era was pushed and pulled into high notes and pretty meandering lines that are tough for any singer to pull off. There's a clear push to make Ichigo sing louder and louder with certain songs that just leaves her sounding strained. I think she struggled a lot with her high notes, and as a result, Ichigo sounds a lot closer to season 1 than what we left off with. However, Waka still shines in the slower songs, which give her a lot to work with. Let's discuss these in detail. Waka's first song is pretty amazing. It's a rock duet with Seda where she manages to match the loud backing track. It's pretty energetic, and honestly, she just sounds like she's having fun. Ichigo's sound is pretty dynamic, and I think that she hits each note where it counts. This was a perfect reintroduction to Waka's sound. Her next song is even better. Blue Strawberry is a touching duet reminiscent of her last big solo. Waka sings sweetly but is notably more open. You can hear her jaw relax in the first verse, but she picks it up pretty soon. The pre-chorus takes full advantage of her nasal tone to make a really touching and sweet moment right before This is probably the best part of the song and one of Waka's best deliveries. She sounds delicate and melodic. It's like the movie all over again. It's a really sweet but resonant sound, which captures Waka's acting skill. She's not just singing anymore, she's fully embodying Hoshimiya Ichigo. I feel like this is a really strong return to form, and I'm always emotional whenever I hear it. Now, I hate to say it, but the duets with Akari are a pretty mixed bag. In each of them, you can hear the singers trying to match, but it goes well in one and pretty terribly in the other. Glamorous Blue is kind of the tipping point of Waka singing in Photo on Stage. I don't know what order these songs were recorded in, but starting here, the quality is definitely iffy. It's a duet with Akari, who we'll get into later, but basically, Ruka is a very nasal singer, and this affects Waka here too. Let me describe what's happening. Waka and Ruka are both singing with a pretty open mouth and pushing the sound onto their roof rather than projecting it outward. It makes them sound a bit flat and constrained, as well as just being hard to sustain. The longer notes sound really flat with none of the melody or sway of previous music. As much as I love this song, Waka brings none of her color, leaving Ruka as the star. Her natural voice is pretty nasal, so it works, but Waka just doesn't get to shine. In the bridge, we do hear a slight return to form, but it doesn't last. Despite my critique, I still think it's a pretty demanding and energetic performance, so props to both the talents. If you want to hear their better duet, listen to Floor of the Starry Sky. Here we have the exact opposite effect, with Waka sounding solid, but Ruka trying to match her. The lower notes at the start and the lighter pre-chorus are my personal favorites. It's a song that shows off Waka's range and lets her be solid, light, and everything in between. Now, prior to this, I haven't covered group songs because, well, it's a group effort, but here we'll make an exception for my favorite Christmas song in the franchise. Every singer kills it here, but let's focus on Waka. Unlike the other energetic song, Waka retains her lighter tone, allowing her to play with lilt kinda like Ayumi in Dream With You. Her bridge is spectacular and I have no notes. It's really good. This is honestly one of the best eras for her, as Dream Reception makes it feel like we're back, but no. For every good day, good night with gentle vocals, there's a sunny day, little Sunday where Waka sounds strained. Overall, Furokatsu was a pretty experimental era for Waka's sound, but I do appreciate the variety. I love that we got to hear her try new things, and in terms of experience, she's probably better for it. Furi Uebana is the next singer we'll cover, and she primarily voices Aoi and later on Seita. Her first voice for Aoi is rather flat with a limited range, but she's got so much energy she always sounds jazzed up and excitable. Examples include the Prism Spiral Chorus or Stranger Alien. Unlike Waka, she can keep Aoi's voice up even in snappy lines like the verses of Stranger Alien, and her smaller range gives her a lot more control and a slightly robotic quality. No matter the song, Furi always sounds consistent. As a member of Soleil, she's got a heavier sound than Waka and often carries the lower notes. However, she does get drowned out when they sing together, as the other two have more unique colors than her. Furi acts as strong vocal support within the group. She sounds best when she carries long notes like in Shokola Showtime, since she has the strength to project for a longer time. She also sounds especially great in Signalize, since her tone just suits the techno beat. It makes sense that she starts off the opening, because she's just that good. Her solid voice is really resonant and amplifies the trio. I suspect her role in the group was to give them support with a really solid projection. Throughout the series, her songs always let her show off that stable sound. Stranger Alien was my personal favorite, so what was yours? As Otoshiro Seita, Furi's voice is much deeper. She makes her sound husky and puts that projection to good use. Seita sounds amazing. Furi even plays with her voice to give her a slight vibrato and makes use of emphasis to make the song sound more passionate. Despite this, you can tell the voice is harder to do, primarily because of the strain in the higher notes and the way she ends her lines. Based on what we can hear, Furi likely made her syllables less open by limiting the space in her mouth. You can hear this most when she pauses for breath between syllables, but especially in her O's and Oo's. Assuming this is true, it would explain why Aoi's singing usually has lots of long belting, while Seita always sings fast. It's likely Furi didn't have much air in her mouth. I really love the work she did here and appreciate how her voice was utilized. Furi and Waka get to sing together as two wings, and I really love this vocal pairing. Furi's huskier voice contrasts Waka's, and she has the range to keep up. Seida's voice commands attention and is really strong, so I recommend that you go listen to their music again. I will go more into her as part of Dream Academy, but we'll save that for later in this series. Within Photo on Stage, Furi has a much better time. She begins to blend and swap techniques by giving Aoi vibrato and making Seida more stable. Gothic Rock and Rose is the best example of Seida sounding more stable. As for Aoi, we've already mentioned Chocolat Showtime, so let's cover the last singer of this video. Last but not least of our trio, we have Sunao herself, one of the best singers and the final part of Soleil. While Furi and Waka are both pretty bright, Sunao's sound is very sultry. She adds some much needed maturity to their sound. Ran's voice is airy, lilting between soft and strong to create a really unique sound. Her graceful delivery makes her voice run along the notes pretty smoothly. Take a listen to her Trap of Love pre-chorus. Notice how she saves her breath to emphasize the start or the end of a line. It makes her voice really fun to listen to. Notably, Sunao is never loud. She's always drifting between soft and airy, with the occasional stress for emphasis. Her syllables are more closed than open. Let's hear her ohs and ahs compared to both Waka and Furi. She tends to come in for the calmer parts of the song, kinda like in the second part of Signalize. Sunao as Ran is light and airy, and she really rounds out their vocal sound. Overall, she's one of my favorite singers in the franchise. Now, if only the same could be said for Sora. Once again, there is a clear breath issue, but this time it's the exact opposite. Sunao's sound is very soft, so for Sora, I guess they had her push it out and make it even higher. It's hard to explain exactly what's going on, but it's likely that her tongue is in the way. I can't explain it, but I do know what's going on vocally. It makes her sound a bit whiny, and her falsetto isn't great. They probably wanted her to come off really light and relaxed, but it just didn't work. To me, this is Sunao at her worst. I don't think that these are flaws per se, I just think that they could have gone in a different direction. Sora's voice is really hard on her, as she always sounds exhausted by the end of her lines. While I acknowledge Sunao's talent, voicing this character can't have been easy. She makes it work with a little more lilt in the chorus, and despite her vibrato's quality, it does feel intentional. Sora's sound can be exhausting to perform, and sometimes exhausting to listen to. It's way out of her comfort zone. Despite that, once again, Sunao put in the work for these characters and left a great legacy behind her. Now, unlike the first two, Sunao actually left around 2013, leaving both of these characters without a voice. While I would love to compare their replacements, once again, we'll be waiting till later in the series to compare that. Let's conclude this with a short section on their live vocals. Listening to the cast sing outside Aikatsu, I'm glad to say a lot of their problems are character specific. Waka's voice is a little deeper and less monotone when she's not doing the Ichigo voice. She still retains the strength with a lower pitch, and she's able to get a much darker sound. As Ichigo, Waka's live vocals are sugary and sweet. She's got a cheerful ringing sound with a slight vibrato. It's really beautiful, so I recommend that you find some live footage. As for Furi, her voice is notably less bright than the show, with a deeper, solid sound. She's got a rich vibrato that the show does nothing with, and in Mia Regina you can really hear how much range these two actually have. Despite this, Furi's still comfortable in the cuter range, using her vibrato to keep up. It makes all of her live singing pretty fun, since she uses a lot of techniques that Sunao does in the show. Live Furi is airy and wispy, but also really strong and rhythmic. Now, what about Sunao? Unlike the first two, I don't have much footage of her singing for Ran, but Sunao did sing for other shows, so let's judge that. In other roles, Sunao stays rhythmic with the usual lilt we'd expect. She sounds amazing as Karon in Watcha Primagi. Now thankfully she also has a YouTube channel, but out of respect I won't play any audio, but she's still a pretty good singer. I think that even live Sunao's sound is really amazing. It's a real shame she didn't get to do more for these franchises, but I hope that she's happy making music however she likes now. Overall, the first three singers of Aikatsu are pretty great, and I had a lot of fun analyzing their voices. I hope now when you listen to their music, you have a greater understanding and appreciation for what's going on physically. You could also try out the different voices using the techniques that they used, but with that said, look forward to more vocal analysis and let me know your thoughts. I'm especially interested in what details you would like me to cover in future videos, since this is the beginning of a new series and I would love to know what you guys expect. With all that said, see you guys next time.